On the Buick Regal out of Tiverton, Rhode Island. Here we go, 1090 index, super street racing. Pretty simple. Get as good a reaction time as you possibly can and then run the index without going under. Well, Pomelo, 003 red. Not going to hurt him right now. We're only in qualifying. Let's see what he could do on the index here. 11 flat. He ran an 11.303 in the first round. 1099 for Smith. He ran 11 seconds with a 6 in the first round. Bob Wolfsifen taking on John Dolan, the DFR Malibu out of Billerica, Massachusetts. He's a probation officer taking on Wolfsifen out of North Kingstown, Rhode Island. A 63-year-old machinist. Wolfsifen 005, good. $10.93 to 11 flat with a 2. Next pair would be Bud Finch, Limerick, Maine, the Master Tech, over in the O'Reilly Auto Lane. He's going to take on Russ Odell, 65 Oldsmobile, New Windsor, New York. Big block 555. You knew it was a big block because it came out of the water box. Finch, 006 red, but again, it all comes down to the index right now. When we get to eliminations, that's when the red lights will matter. 1089.5 for Finch, 1158.9 for Odell and the Oldsmobile. Dennis LeBlanc and the 71 Vega Camback taking on John Sanborn, the Nova's Revenge 71 Nova Supersport. Okay, here we go. LeBlanc, the Vega, Sanborn, the Nova. Only thou separate on the reaction times on the green side. Let's see what they can do in the 1090 index. 1095.4 for LeBlanc, 1094.6 for Sanborn and the Chevy Nova. Next up, it's the Slowpoke. That's Jack Webster out of Derry, New Hampshire, 72 Plymouth Duster. Going to take on the Causing Trouble Oldsmobile and Elise LeBlanc out of Manchester, New Hampshire. The old Mike Williams Oldsmobile. Mike down now residing down in Ocala, Texas, Ocala, Florida, should say. Down in the southeast. 1088.8 for Webster. 1096.4 for LeBlanc and the Causing Trouble Oldsmobile. Next up, it'll be Darren Wood, 67 Firebird. 605 Chevrolet cubic inches, taking on Dave Bergfeld. Bergfeld out of Parlin, New Jersey, 69 Camaro. 498 cubic inches of Chevrolet power. At the stripe, it'll be a 1092.4 for Wood. 1088.6 for Bergfeld. And puts Wood on the good side of the index. Dave Margolis and his Duster to take on Keith Mayers out of Ellendale, Delaware, and his Porsche. Mayers 026, Margolis 029 on the reaction times. Let's see if they can do on the index. Identical 1094 zeros left and right. Margolis at 134 miles an hour. Mayers at 155 miles an hour. Both running 1094.0. Roland Taylor. Actually, we'll call him Chip Taylor. We know him around here as Chip Taylor, taking on Tom Kuchar and his Chevy 2. $10.93 for Kuchar, $10.84 for Taylor. Next up will be the S10 of Jaden Lesperance taking on Bill Krug Jr. and his 72 Nova. Jaden, the 014 reaction time on the good side, runs a 10.95.8. Krug and the Nova 10.93 with a 9. Corey Prindle will come up right now. The Prindle Motorsports 83 Camaro taking on Pat Doherty's 96 Pontiac. Westerly, Rhode Island home. Owner of Pat's Auto Center. 009 reaction time there for Doherty. Let's see what happens on the index. 10.95.2 for Prindle, 10.93.8 for Doherty. Just a little bit of clean up there on the style line, a few rocks here and there. Patty Blake to come up right now against Bob Loans. Loans out of Abington, Massachusetts. A manufacturer of pallets with the 71 Chevy Nova. Taking on Patty Blake and the Shamrock Express number 2, 94 Camaro. Those of you that follow the NHRA, you'll know Bob Loans' son, Brian, as the head broadcaster on the Fox program, NHRA program. Patty Blake, part of the Blake group there. You know, you got Jim with his roats, and you got the Follow a Dream dragster. Key here now, 1090 index. Super Street. Blake 10.99.9, Loans 11.03 with a 3. Next up, you got Mike Thomas. Thomas out of Holbrook, New York. The 88 Mustang, Firematic logo on the side door. Taking on John Harper's gorgeous 55 Chevrolet Bel Air. He's out of Wiscasset, Maine. As they are in second round here in Super Street. Comes down to running the 1090 index, 1092 for Harper, 1109 for Thomas. Next pair, you got Hong Lee, 66 Chevy 2, big block 427, taking on Larry Padden. Padden out of Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. The 88 S10, big block 572. Ran a 1083 in the first round. Lee with an 1102. Trying to both improve to get into that 1090 index. Advantage off the line went to Padden. 1088.6 gets a little bit closer. 1101.9 for Lee gets him just a little bit closer into that 1090 index. Jeff Scafidi will come up right now, taking on Elaine Berard out of St. Louis, Richelieu, Quebec, Canada. 68 Chevy 2 Nova. Taking on Scafidi 77 Camaro with the 509 Chevrolet powered under the hood. He's out of Woonsocket, Rhode Island, here in the Hampshire Lottery Tower side. Slight red light there for Barad, but that won't hurt him. 10.91.8 for Scafidi. Ran a 10.91.3 in the first qualifying session. 10.87.1 will not help Barad as he'll stay on that 10.94 from the first round. Jonathan Leahy comes up right now to Leahy Excavating. 67 Chevy 2. Going to take on Dave Markle's 67 Chevy 2. He's out of Scottsville, New York, the machinist. Leahy with a 10.93 in first round. 10.85 was what Markle did in his first qualifying session. Let's see if both can improve on that. 10.89.4. Markle gets closer to the index. 10.94.9. Leahy will stay on that first qualifying 10.93. Bill Arpine will come up. 2005 GTO. 10.92.9 was in the first qualifying session, taking on Don Garbinski. He's out of Philadelphia, PA. 71 Challenger. 500 cubic inches of Dodge power plant under the hood. Ran a 10.93 with a 1 in round 1 of qualifying. Arpine, the GTO out of Hamden, Connecticut. Garbinski 001 red. Arpine an 018 on the green side. 10.92.2 for Arpine. 10.88.1 for Garbinski. Garbinski will stay on the 10.93.1 from first qualifying session. 10.92.9 for Arpine. He'll actually improve just a little bit with the 2 at the end of the 92. George Carrier comes up right now. He's got the BMW 86. Going to take on Brian Sawyer and the Sudden Impact number 1 out of Lunenburg, Mass. Sawyer was your Epping national winner, and in 2017 was Cecil County and the Virginia winner. 10.90 with a 0 for Sawyer. 002 reaction time. 2000s package there for Brian Sawyer. He's rocked and ready to go for Super Street. Carrier, an 029 runs a 10.86. He'll stay on the 91.8. Next up, Neil Vaccaro, 91 Cutlass. He's going to take on the Chevy Nova Yanko clone, it looks like, out of Belleville, New Jersey. $10.94 to a $10.93. So Sawyer's 10.90 with a 0, 002 reaction time. Highlighting so far. Martin Candroin, the 69 Camaro, taking on the 68 Chevy 2 Nova of Jason Mazzata. Candroin 014, Mazzata 025. Let's see what goes on here. We're already seeing a 10.90 with a 0. 10.92.7 for Candroin. 10.88 with a deuce for Mazzata. Next up, Jared Kinson. Going to take on Frank Volpe. 85 Camaro over in the O'Reilly Auto Lane out of Poughkeepsie, New York. Kinson out of Plastow, New Hampshire, mechanical engineer. Here in the New Hampshire Lottery Lane, the tower side, I should say. Kinson 005, Volpe 008. $10.90 with a 6 for Kinson, $10.90 with an 8 for Volpe. Next up, it'll be Brian Corey, 94 Chevrolet pickup truck. Going to take on Ray Knight and his Mustang out of Fall River, Mass. He has actually been just crowned the New England Dragway Super Pro champion here in 2019. Racing in Super Street here this weekend. Did a 10.94.9 in the first round. 10.92.1 was the pickup in round number 1. At the stripe, 10.92.3 for Corey, 10.96.2 for Ray Knight. Next pair, Rick Mattioli, 67 first generation Camaro out of Middlesex, New Jersey. He'll take on Len Kingsley's 71 Dodge Dart, the machinist out of Hudson, New Hampshire. 10.98.6 for Kingsley in round 1 of qualifying, 10.85.8 for Mattioli in the first qualifying session. At the stripe, it will be a 10.90 with a 6 for Mattioli. He moves on to the good side of the index. 11.01 with a 1 for Kingsley and the Dodge Dart. Next up, Ray Butler, 1980 Malibu, taking on the Prophecy 76 Nova of David Johnson. Johnson out of Brookline, New Hampshire. Should say the Prophecy 2 76 Nova. $10.90 with a 9 for Butler, $10.82.5 for Johnson. Next pair, Mike Fitz, the 72 Duster, sporting the 500 cubic inches of Dodge power, taking on Andrew Johnson here in the original Prophecy, the 85 Thunderbird out of Ashaway, Rhode Island. Andrew's a master VW tech. Means he can work on Volkswagens. Very good. Looks like that'll be our last pair. One more single here. Then we'll go right into Super Comp. Johnson, 11 flat with a 5. 10.92.4 for Fitz and the Duster. And your last runner here in Super Street will be Sean Frick. 10.90 with a 0 in the first round. Don't know if you can really improve since the index is a 10.90 with a 0. At the stripe, 10.86.3, 138. So that takes care of that round of Super Street. Now we're going to go into Super Comp. All right, here we go. Super Comp. Ted Cook to take on Gary Gilman here. Gilman, as we go into 890 index racing. Gilman out of West Peru, Maine, taking on Cook, the carpenter out of Tewksbury, Massachusetts. We didn't see Gilman in the first round of qualifying here. Cook in his first round ran an 899 with a 6 on the 890 index. $892.2 for Cook. $963 with a 2 for the O'Reilly Auto Lane. Next pair to be Dave Markle taking on Tom Slater. Slater out of Colonia, New Jersey, the undercover chassis dragster. 632 cubic inches of Chevrolet power. Taking on Markle. He's out of North Chili, New York. Over there in the Syracuse area with his 588 cubic inches of Chevrolet power. Key here, 890 index. Slater 006 on the reaction time. At the stripe, 895.3, 177. 891.8, 169. 0.59 for Markle. Next pair, Kyle Tavares taking on Doug Forbes. Forbes out of Douglas, New Brunswick, Canada. The S&W chassis, Chevrolet powered. Going to take on the undercover chassis of Tavares. Mashpee, Mass. 565 cubic inches of Chevrolet powered. $894.1 for Tavares, $960 with a 5 for Forbes. Chris Cumming comes up right now, the Milton, New Hampshire 84 altered. Altered Ego. 84. Taking on Michael Handress out of Brooklyn, New York. The 39-year-old executive race tech chassis dragster. 604 cubic inches of Chevrolet power. Trying to slow it down just a little bit to get into the 890 index. Cumming ran an 890 with a 3 in the first round of qualifying. $892.9 for Cumming. $897.5 for Handress. Mike Hepp will come up right now out of Levittown, PA. He was your D1 champion at New Media. Taking on Teresa Cumming. She's an office manager out of Milton, New Hampshire. Rode her Profab chassis. Advantage off the line with the HEP 019 runs an 896. Coming in 085 reaction time runs a 91 with an 8. In the world of all these dragsters, we have Mike Moniz and his Vega. 74 Vega out of Fairhaven, Mass. He's going to take on Chris Fillmore, the CC Fillmore Truck Repair. 97 Spitzer chassis. He's out of Boxborough, Massachusetts. $893.3 for Moniz, $894.9 for Fillmore. John Pisa will come up right now, taking on Dennis Torito. Enfield, Connecticut for the Dan Page built car out of Connecticut. John Pisa, his S&W chassis, out of Danvers, Mass. Ran a 901 in the first qualifying session. Torito an 888 with a 1. Just want to welcome everyone out today to Lobster Hat Wearing Day here at New England Dragway. There we go. It even has nitrous coming out of the tentacles, huh? That's pretty neat. Just point out the obvious. That's all we do. Torito 889.1, 903 with a 7 for Pisa. Next pair, Brad Coriel, Mike Bodner. Bodner out of Kendall Park, New Jersey, a student with his undercover chassis dragster. Coriel out of Ware, New Hampshire. Dan Page built car. He was the New England Dragway 890 champ back in 2010. $888.3 for Coriel, $889.5 for Bodner. Next pair, got the blue chip. That's David Rowe out of Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. He'll take on Jack Versteer, the J&J Racing dragster out of Hollis Center, Maine. Both looking just to slow it down just a little bit. Both ran 888s in the first qualifying session. Let's see what they do about getting it onto the good side of the 890 index. There we go. Both go there. 891 with a 0 for Rowe. 895.9 for Versteer. Next pair, it'll be Stephen Spalding out of Mahwah, New Jersey. His undercover chassis dragster with the Rare and Morrison 565 behind the helmet. Taking on Chris Sapelka. Sapelka out of Ranson, West Virginia, with his undercover chassis dragster, sporting 565 cubic inches of Chevrolet power. Sapelka 005 on the reaction time. Let's see what he can do on the index. 895 with a 5 for Sapelka, but Spalding one up some. 890 with a 5 for Spalding. Next pair to be Eric Pierce and Kyle Cotrera. Pierce is pre-staged, followed by Cotrera. And we'll get them both fully staged. Drop the tree. Slight red there for Cotrera. Doesn't hurt him right now. Let's see what we can do on the index. Shooting for that 890. 892.8 for Pierce. 887.7 for Cotrera. Tiana Zarella coming up right now, the TNT Motorsports sponsored dragster out of Beverly, Mass, taking on Bill DeStefano. Stefano out of Warren, Rhode Island. Side by side at the stripe, it will be an 895.7 for Zarella, 895.5 for Di Stefano. Jamie Blake coming up right now. The Follow a Dream dragster taking on Rick Rawlinson. Rawlinson out of Orange, Connecticut, down there off the Merritt Parkway. Works in the aerospace industry, which most people do that have come around that part of Connecticut with the Sikorsky business right down there. $886.7 for Rawlinson, $880 flat for Blake. I'll have to slow it down as we get ready for eliminations. Janice Willett to take on Spencer Markle. Markle out of Montvale, New Jersey. A little familiar with that part of the country. Spent a couple years living in and working in the Montvale area. Taking on Janice Willett, part of the Willett racing family here at New England Dragway. $896.2 for Willard, $886.4 for Markle. Willard was an 890 with a 5 in the first round. Justin Cummings coming up right now to Bloomfield, New Brunswick, Canada. He's going to take on Steve Logan out of Weymouth, Massachusetts, the owner of Northeastern Mechanical Incorporated. And also the sponsor on the side of the car. Dan Page built car, sporting 555 cubic inches of Chevrolet power. Logan dropping a perfect reaction time here. Let's see if we can work on that perfect run. 893.5 with the perfect reaction time for Logan. Perfect reaction time is like a hole-in-one. You know, you hold them in much honor because it's very tough to get them. Tony Benea taking on David Long. Long out of Wallingford, Pennsylvania. Benea out of Windsor Locks, Connecticut. $892.7 for long. Benair and $893.3. Jess Stodowski right now, taking on Mark Pettit. Stodowski, formerly you would know her as Jess Willard. She was a jet car driver for the Hannahs. She was your Division I high school champ back in the day. Taking on Mark Pettit, the 02 undercover chassis. It all comes down to the 890 index. 891.6 for Pettit, 874.5 for Stodowski. She'll stay on her 896 from round number 1. Ken Moses will take on William Pitts. Pitts out of East Amherst, New York. The WP Motorsports sponsored dragster. Taking on Ken Moses Racing Transmissions. As that is Ken Moses out of Colonial, New Jersey. Puts him into the transmission business. It'll be Pitts 890 with a 6, 887.4 for Moses. Next up, Rich Dorr to take on Kyle Bigley. Your defending Supercomp champion, Division I. Qualified for the JEGS All-Stars this year. He's a 2-time divisional event winner. He's a runner-up 1 time. 2-time track champion. Taking up the 2018 Richmond National runner-up. He won, and Dorr won here in 2017. $889.8 for Dorr, $887.2 for Bigley. Dorr missing the index by $2,000. Next up, Tom Stauber taking on Walter Olt. Olt out of Medford, New Jersey, the 2009 Mullis chassis dragster, Chevrolet powered. Going to take on the undercover chassis dragster of Tom Stauber. Stauber out of Hamilton, New Jersey. 009 on the reaction time. Just a little bit red start there for Olt with the 003. Let's see what they can do on the index. 896 a pair. Stauber 96 with an 8. Olt 96 with a 5. Next pair, Rick Stroud to take on Yvonne Michaud. Stroud out of Douglas, Ontario, Canada, with his undercover chassis dragster. Chevrolet powered. Going to take on the Dan Page built car for Michaud. Also Chevrolet powered out of Danvers, Massachusetts. At the stripe, it'll be an 890. Next pair, it'll be Rich Dorr taking on Ray Fredericks. Dorr out of Watertown, New York. That's a little bit of a hike from New England Dragway. Fredericks from Nashua, New Hampshire, just down the road off of Route 3 with his Race Tech dragster. Chevrolet powered. Top alcohol funny car. We need you to the lanes, please. Alcohol funny car. To the lanes, please. Fredericks 004 to Doors 022. 911 with a 5 for Dorr. 901 with a 4 for Fredericks. Bill Waters to take on Jamie Madison. Madison out of Canton, Maine. The Masters Racing entry taking on Bill Waters. He's got his Dan Page build car. Chevrolet powered. Side advantage goes to Madison with the 013 reaction time. At the stripe, it will be 888.5 for Madison. He'll have to slow it down a little bit. He'll go on his 891.8 in the first round. Waters 881.0. He's got both ends of the spectrum there. He ran a 1069 in the first round. Gonna meet there somewhere right in the middle. Bill Krug Jr. out of Albany, New York. He's gonna take on Dennis LeBlanc and his dragster over in the O'Reilly Auto Lane. Krug in the first round of qualifying ran an 890 with a 1. LeBlanc a little bit under the index with that 887.2. Let's see what he can do. 886. Bracket car there for Krug. 890 with a 7 with an 020 reaction time. Next up, Miranda Marsters to take on Dave Markle. Marsters, the undercover chassis dragster out of Dixfield, Maine. Gonna take on Markle and his dragster. He's out of Scottsville, New York. Markle with an 895.1 in the first round of qualifying. Marsters just a little quick with the 886. Markle 890 with a 4, 893 with a 1, 7 I should say for Marsters. This puts Marsters on the good side of the index and definitely puts Markle in the upper part of the qualifying ladder here in Super Comp. Jack Stepanek will come up right now. Going to take on Chuck Crapella. Alcohol funny car to the lanes, please. Alcohol funny car to the staging lanes, please. Alcohol funny car to the staging lanes, please. Capella 005, Sapanic 013. $891.1, 175 for Sapanic. $891.8, 173 for Capella. Ed McCleeft, Shingle House, Pennsylvania. He's going to take on Jason Mazzata. McCleef with the 360 Penguin sponsorship on the side of the dragster. Going to take on Mazzata, the Dan Page build car. Here in the Hampshire Lottery Lane. Oh, perfect reaction time there for Mazzata. Let's see what he can do on the index. 887.5, 163 with the perfect reaction time for Mazzata. McCleef, 891 with a 2. Rob Hyatt will come up right now over in the Riley Auto Lane. Going to take on Jason Kenny. What hasn't Kenny done? 5-time division champ, 5-time All-Star qualifier, 3-time national event winner, and a 13-time divisional event winner for Jason Kenny out of Kutztown, Pennsylvania. He's got his Dan Page built car. 001 reaction time. Hyatt goes 002. Well, it's not quite red. That's a little pink there. 886.4 for Kenny. 888 with an 8 for Hyatt. Next pair to be John Martin taking on Jeff Kondratic. The dragster out of Falston, Maryland. The Lucas Oil sponsor, Powder Coat. Taking on Martin out of Creambridge, New Jersey. Been through there once. That's down near the Atlantic City area. Down on the coast. Not a pretty thing going on down there right now with that storm coming up the East Coast. 2003 Division I Super Comp champion Martin is. Kondratic was the 2017 Maple Grove National runner-up. $887 was Kondratic in the first round. $890 with a 9 for Martin. Kondratic 002 on the reaction time. Let's see what the index is. Oh, look at that. Kondratic 890 with a 0. 002 reaction time. Can we say 2000s package there for Kondratic? Martin an 893.7. So it looks like we're just going to have a little bit of a cleanup here at the start line. Got the mops and the towels out. All right, looks like there's a little bit of a cleanup there. All right, we're just going to do a little bit more cleanup here on the start line, the O'Reilly Auto Lane. All right, looks like we got about 3 more to go here in Super Comp. And it's time for Alcohol Funny Car and Alcohol Dragster. All right, attention out there in the pits. If I could have either David Powell or David Powell Sr. to the tower, please. David Powell or David Powell Sr., I need you to the tower, please. All right, a little bit of dragging going on here. Once we get that done, we'll get right back and finish off these final 3 cars here in Super Comp. Alcohol Funny Car, you should be in the staging lanes. Alcohol Funny Car, you should be in the staging lanes. And I'm looking for David Powell or David Powell Sr. to the tower, please. David Powell or David Powell Sr. We need you to the tower, please. And I'm also looking for Greg Gay to the tower, please. David Powell or David Powell Sr. And Greg Gay, I need you to the tower also. Greg Gay to the tower, please. Greg Gay, we need you to the tower, please. Greg Gay to the tower. Al Ackerman, we need you to the tower, please. Al Ackerman to the tower. Al Ackerman to the tower, please. All right, looks a good thumbs up. Ready to go here. Get the final 3 super comp here. All right, here we go. Doug Marsters and Doug Dahl. The Lightning Chassis Sportsman Racer out of Douglas, Massachusetts, taking on Marsters out of Hartford, Maine. Marsters an 891.9 in the first qualifying session. Dahl an 890 with a 2. Marsters 892.6, 894.0 for Dahl. And it looks like our last pair here will be Ed Alisi and Sean Frick. The Accelerated Travel Hoosier sponsored Racetech Dragster out of Flemington, New Jersey. He's going to take on Alisi. The Select Transit Converter sponsored out of Bethpage, New York. Alessi had a better light, 874.9. Frick an 891 with an 8. And that'll take care of that round of Super Comp. Looks like up next we will have I'll Call Funny Car, and we'll turn things back over to Alan Reinhardt.
Thank you, Bill. Let's go ahead and get Top Alcohol Dragster rolling this way if you're not already. Alcohol Dragster, come on down. So we get set for our second qualifying session here in the quickest and fastest categories after alcohol. We're going to go into super stock, super gas, top, and then we're going to get in the Wayback Machine and go to Lebanon. And I do believe I just heard the signal go out behind me to go ahead and fire up that first pair. DJ Cox showing the way after qualifying session number 1. 552, good solid run. Fred Tigas also with a solid run in the 550s. And then newcomer Brian Gowick at 574. And the other 3 cars didn't exactly get what they were looking for. Let's see, we're playing with the weather here today. We've been hanging around below 1,000 feet all day long, and that continues here. 781 feet density altitude, 64 degrees. And here comes PBJ, Phil Burkhardt Jr. Phil driving, of course, for Jay Blake, the Permatex Follow a Dream team. Jay, the guy standing over on the middle of the racetrack with the white cane, and after being blinded in an industrial accident, decided he wasn't going to let a thing like that stand in his way. Always wanted to own and run a funny car, and the only blind crew chief on the planet. Now, Phil Burkhardt in the first qualifying session didn't get down. He came out, sounded like it tugged the motor down when he dropped the clutch, and then squared the tire up out there about 100 feet or so. This car is certainly capable of jumping up and running right to the top of the pack. You got to believe Jay and the boys, though, might be just a little bit on the conservative side this time. You want to get it down the racetrack. Boy, that thing was aggressive. 557, 264 miles an hour. Really nice looking run for Phil Burkhardt. That thing had plenty of wheel speed that time when he dropped the clutch. You could hear it kind of jump up on the tire. And Jay is pumped up down there as they go back to the tow vehicle to go down and get their driver. Burkhardt jumps all the way up to the number 2 spot. Quicker than everybody but DJ Cox. 264 miles an hour, pretty stout. 557. Ain't nothing wrong with that either. And it was kind of interesting watching where they lined that car up. It was over to the left considerably, not exactly in the center of the groove, but sometimes when you're looking for wheel speed, you need to get out of that perfect groove up here on the starting line. A bump for Phil Burkhardt up at the top end of the racetrack. And we should be ready to fire the first pair. We will see these cars again later on today. But Alcohol Dragster, need you to the lanes, please. Come on down. Watching the quad run up from the top end of the racetrack. I'm not sure if somebody saw something down there or reported something down there, but they are doing a quick inspection before we fire the next pair back here.
Third race he ever worked when I started in May. The third race, he had to go to Chicago. So I went up to Toronto. I had about a 3-day crash course in what to do, and I had notes everywhere, plans everywhere. It was just like following the notes.
You have them on speed dial too?
I called him. The second day. Or no, was it the first day?
So after a quick look down at the top end, I see green lights from the far end, and that should be the signal to light them up.
Indeed, it is. Your dad's a second pair. Oh, sure.
They're gonna say 'cause he sucked.
I thought I was going, man. I thought I was going. I had to be back and just carry it.
There's your reigning division champ, Dan Pomponio. That didn't sound right. And John Headley in the Thunder Machine. Now he rolled through the water and spun the tires like 3 times. And now it looks like they're going to try to do another one. Okay, now Headley just backed up into the water. Now he's idling up the stage of this thing. I'm not sure if he's just going to take the tree or exactly what he's trying to do over there. I know what Pomponio is trying to do. He's trying to move up because he's sitting in the number 6 spot right now. And with Headley, that's going to put 7 cars on the ladder. And with 7 cars on the ladder, the number 1 qualifier gets a bye run in round 1. Are you starting to see where I'm going with this? Everybody's going to want to try to be number 1. No, he's not going to get it. Headley's car had problems, well, before the get-go, it looked like. Pomponio's car was solid for the first 60 feet, but it wasn't a whole lot after that he was on the throttle, off the throttle, and then got off of it for good. 894 at 96 miles an hour. John Headley goes 1397 after he just kind of drove it off. Almost sounded like it was on a rev limiter on a 2-step out there. And John Headley go into the field, however, in the number 7 spot. Pomponio will actually move up 1 from number 6 to number 5, but that ain't what he was going for. DJ Cox will stay number 1. We're going to take a look at something out on the racetrack, and then we'll bring you the next couple. quick jet, just kind of see a shiny spot out there, and word from trackside is it looks like somebody just locked up one of the front wheels on the burnout. It's been now we're all like rewinding our last couple of burnouts, going, no, wasn't that car? No, wasn't that car? No, wasn't that car? But Matt Gill and Brian Golick are going to be side by side now. Matt, who did not make a clean run in the first session. Brian, who did. So Brian Golick working with Lou Scrow. You see him down on the starting line. Of course, he and Frank Manzo, friends for a long time. Lou was part of his team and a supporter of his for a number of seasons. Getting involved with a young gun here in the category. Brian, who just recently got licensed in these machines. And Matt Gill, who grew up watching as a dad handling the driving chores. A few years ago, Dad decided it was time to hang it up and gave the keys to Matt. Gill right now sits number 6. Golick right now sits number 4. But for Golick, there's not been a whole lot of times in his career that he's actually raced side by side with somebody. Gill actually rolled through and knocked the top bulb out, which is okay in this category, but it certainly cost you a little ET. 565. Look at the speed, 268 miles an hour. That's hustling right along at the finish line. As a matter of fact, that's top speed of the meet by a considerable amount for the funny cars. Brian goes 11-12 at 69 miles an hour after his car kind of rattled its way into silence out there about 400 feet, but he'll stand on his earlier run. So DJ, Phil, Fred, Matt, and Brian.
Actually, that's a new speed track record.
Your top 6. Well, I am told that 268 mile an hour run is a new track speed record here for an alcohol funny car. So congratulations to Matt Gill and the team. Definitely gave up a little bit of ET with the deep stage, but that speed tells you the thing was running pretty happy down at the finish line stripe. And here come the final 2. Fred Tigas and DJ Cox. DJ Cox, who picked this car up from Andy Bowl. And that's a pretty good piece of equipment he's sitting in there. He, of course, over here on the Ford side, DXI and DC Contracting. For the guy who makes his living in the construction business down in Maryland. And Fred Tigas, the Monte Carlo. DJ still got the number 1 spot right now, unless Fred can do something to take it away from him. Our final 2 funny cars, Alcohol Dragster coming in right behind. pedal job out there for Fred Tigas, and DJ goes 5.550. 263 miles an hour. Fred goes 736 at $1:31. But DJ Cox now not only has the quickest run, he has the 2 quickest runs of the weekend. And obviously he'll stay in the number 1 qualifying spot with his 5:52. So Phil Burkhart sneaks into second with a 5:57. Fred Tigas 5:58. Matt Gill at a 5:65. Brian Gallick at a 5:74. Dan and John still looking for a little bit more, as we'll have one more session a couple hours from now. Listen up in the pits. Attention in the pits. Super Stock, come on down. We need you, please. Super Stock. To the staging lanes, please. Alcohol Dragster's getting ready to roll around the corner, and then we'll have Super Stock, Super Gas, Top Dragster, Top Sportsman, and then we all get on the bus for Lebanon Valley. Did you bring a big enough bus? There's a lot of us. In case there's anybody that's wondering, we've been talking about this throughout the course of the day, but I don't think we really explained it. When we were in Lebanon Valley a couple of months ago, 6 weeks ago, whenever it was, ended up getting stopped before completing the event on Sunday night. The racers all got together and said, what do you want to do? A couple of the classes were going to be contested at ATCO and a couple of them up here, so that's what we're going to do. Going to go back and finish up the Lebanon Valley points meet, give away some trophies, and then tomorrow we'll be ready to continue on here with New England Dragway. Richard St. Pierre in the left side. Josh Hart in the right. Had 9 cars make an official attempt in that first qualifying session, and apparently Jim Libby, I'm told, is not going to run this one. Dwayne Shields together, all chasing at 5:22. And Richard St. Pierre, he made a nice run over there, 547, 258 miles an hour. The speed down a little bit, and that tells you they get that thing running to the stripe, that they've got a little bit more performance in it. And the NGK guys over here. Josh Hart. Oh, I'm sorry, I got my notes mixed up. Gallick's car, they tell me, is Andy Bowles' car, not DJ's, so I apologize to them. Gallick's car is Andy Bowles. I hate when I read my notes crooked, but I appreciate being straightened out on the information. So the injected nitro burner of Josh Hart looking to move up from the number 8 spot, and well, when you look down at the scoreboard and see that the bump spot for the number 8 spot is 743, you don't exactly need a PhD in TAD to know that there's plenty of room for improvement. Yeah, that's going to be better. 525, Josh Hart, 272 miles an hour. That'll move him all the way up to number 2, and St. Pierre goes 544. 257 miles an hour, an improvement of about 1/10 of a second for those guys, and they're going to end up in the number 7 spot. So Richard St. Pierre's got a really solid car, made a nice step up that time, but so we got 6 cars qualified between 522 and 528. And then St. Pierre is 7 at a 44. Bruce Horner's on the bump at a 556. And Dwayne Shields is still the guy they're all chasing. You throw away Dwayne Shields' run, and we've got 6 cars, 5 cars that is, within 0.03 of a second. 525, 526, 26, 27, and 28. Whoever leaves here with the trophy for Alcohol Dragster is certainly going to have to earn it. Top end of the racetrack looks like it's clear, and we got a couple more. I was looking at the back window. It looks like Tom Fox is turning around. I'm not sure what the issue would have been, but it almost has to be that they pulled up here and went, what do you mean we forgot to put the transmission in? I mean, something. But they got all the way up here to where it was literally your turn to run. And they're turning around going back to the pits without ever even starting the car. Rather unusual. So we get to watch and listen to Dan Mercier on a solo run. This will be interesting. Watch and listen to the cars that goes down the racetrack. One of the things that they do with these alcohol cars, and that includes the injected nitro cars, is manipulate the power level as the car moves down a racetrack. And the manipulation comes by moving the ignition timing around. You'll actually hear the car get out there about 100 feet or 150 feet or so, and it sounds like the motor kind of noses over a little bit. They pull some power out of it as the clutch is coming in, make sure it doesn't get up on top of the tire out there, and then pile it back in as it goes down the racetrack. But with just one car on the racetrack, you'll be able to really vividly hear it. Just listen. Wheelie bar set. Thumbs up here, thumbs up there. And signal to the driver. All eyes and ears on Dan Mercier. Man, that thing is running good. 524. Look at the speed, 279.21. Picked up 0.04 of a second, picked up a couple of spots. Not quite enough to get around Dwayne Shields, but good enough to get around everybody not named Dwayne Shields. Mercier moves up to number 2. He still has top speed of the meet. He's the only guy that's been over 279 miles an hour. He's done it twice. Everybody else has done it a combined total of 0. And Dan steps up just a smidge. Mentioned Dwayne Shields. Looks like he's waiting patiently to go here. And so is Jackie Frick. Jackie with a brand new race car. Went down in between the rounds and stopped by to check it out. Jackie said, absolutely love this thing. It was built by a guy by the name of Chase Copeland down in Texas. And it looks like they're going to have Jackie on a solo here since Dwayne is supposed to be paired up with TJ. So, but this car features a one-piece carbon fiber body. Don't worry, it'll get sponsor names on it before a whole lot more time goes by. They broke it out of the trailer at Atco a while back. Made a couple of runs with it, but when they were going to Indy last week, it's like, you know what, it's the U.S. Nationals. Let's go with the tried and true combination that we know. There just ain't nothing like new pipe. It's one of the things about cars like this, and it goes for injected nitro cars just like top fuel cars. A little bit more critical on the top fuel cars because they're making more power, but there is no suspension on these things, and the chassis flex is what acts as the suspension. Over a period of time, it just doesn't react the same. It's kind of like if you take a coat hanger, bend it back and forth. It's going to be okay the first few times, but sooner or later it starts getting weak and starts getting more flexible, and you just got to replace it. And that's why you hear, if you follow along on the NHRA trail from time to time, they'll talk about a front half or a back half. The driver's compartment is rigid, but the rest of the car is very flexible. And Jackie rolls her brand new car into the beams. Remember what I said a minute ago about listening to him take the timing out so it doesn't do that? You know, that's what happens when you're real aggressive with the race car and the Goodyears just won't quite hold it. He got solidly off the starting line and then got out there about 150 feet or so and just a little bit too much, a little bit too soon. You're trying to step up from a 527. You got to be aggressive there, and sometimes you just get your toes over the line. So Jackie will stand on her earlier run. She's number 6 right now. Of course, when you're number 6 at 527 and you're only 500ths away from the number 1 spot, you certainly got a car that can jump up into the mix and play with anybody. For the record, 9.14 seconds, 94 miles an hour. And our final 2 alcohol dragsters come to life down here. It's going to be Dwayne Shields and TJ, also known as Troy Coughlin Jr. Now, when I was taking my stroll down into pits earlier, they actually had the head off of Dwayne Shields' car, knocking a couple of pistons in and out of it, and spoke to Dana Hopewell. He said, "Nah, we're good." He said, "We just fuzzed one of the cylinder heads a little bit, pulled the head off, put a couple of new valves in it, and we're good." When it comes to burnouts, Dwayne is the anti-Jackie, or Jackie is the anti-Dwayne. Because she does very short burnouts and stops almost violently. Dwayne does really fast, really long burnouts and lets it roll out a little bit. Super stock. Oh, attention in the pits. Super stock. Final call. Let's come on down to the lanes, please, if you want to make the second qualifying run. Super stock, I need you now. So Dwayne Shields is sitting number 1 right now with that Peak coolant motor oil car. And like Larry Dixon once told me, I'm already one and you can't be oneer. But he certainly could make it a little more difficult for TJ or anybody else to try to take it away from him. I kind of expected on a day like this and track conditions like this that somebody would run in the teens, as in 519, 518. Both these cars certainly capable. Troy Coughlin for jegs.com and Dwayne Shields for Peak. 523 TJ, 279 and change. 526 for Dwayne Shields, 276 miles an hour. Troy Coughlin's going to jump all the way up to the number 2 spot with the best run of the round, but Dwayne Shields, with his earlier run of 522, is going to stay in the number 1 spot. Now, we will see these cars again on the track later on this afternoon for their 3rd qualifying session that'll set the field for tomorrow. But right now, man, it's looking brutal out there. Dwayne Shields, 522. Troy Coughlin, 523. Dan Mercier, 524. Josh Hart, 525. Thomas Fox, 526. Jackie Frick, 527. If we're playing blackout bingo, all I need is a 21 and a 28, and we got the whole card covered. But they are really jammed in there in the 20s. Richard St. Pierre at 544, and Bruce Horner rides the bump spot at 556 with 2 down and with 1 to go. So here's the run of events, just so everybody can kind of keep track here. We've got Super Stock in the lanes. They will be followed by Super Gas, then Top Dragster, Top Sportsman, and then we go back to Lebanon. I wonder if I get way back machine music, you know, like doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. I'm going to find me someplace. The web is a magical thing. Gregory Gay, we need to see you into the tower, please. And in case you don't recognize your name, if you are the driver of Superstock car 1650, and you know what he just did, right? Oh, that's me. We need to see you in the tower. All right, a quick shuffle out there, and we should be
Sorry about that. All right. Coming
just about ready to go.
Okay. Yep. So beautiful. Sorry about that. Yep. Thanks. You made one mistake at it.
Hey, listen up in the pits. Attention in the pits. Super gas. Let's go ahead and head this way, please. Super gas. To the lanes. Super stock. If you're not already here, tardy. You'll need a note from your mother or the doctor. Be like, I'll never forget the time that I was going to skip school and go to the drag races. I had a plan. Had a brilliant plan. Had an ingenious plan. I called the school. I said, hey, Alan's not going to be in today. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. And the woman said, can I ask who's calling? And I said, yeah, this is my dad. I don't know how they busted me. It was a genius plan. Genius. This ought to be fun. Vito Savino on the left side, Rafi Caraguzzi on the right side. Now, Rafi's car, man, they would have this thing flying. I love the shoebox 66, 67 Novas, especially when they come up nose to tail and we get to watch them all like a parade. This ought to be fun. It's qualifying. It's how low can you go. They're not racing against each other. Your car, my clock. Have at it. That's kind of a nice, gentle, controlled wheel stand for both of them out there. Vito's going to hustle his way down to the stripe first. 10:34, 128 miles an hour, 2 slower than earlier. Caraguzzian picks up a couple at 11 flat. And 127. Now it's Guy Desjardins and GT automatic. 67 SS 396 and Greg Sutherland in the G automatic. Chevy 2 of the 327. So we just saw the 283 version. This is the 327 version.
Not on the first run sheet.
Once again, a couple of wheels up, and they head that way. Down to the stripe, 924 for Guy, 141 miles an hour, slows 1 Hun, 998 for Sutherland. Now, Sutherland didn't get down the first session because he stood up, turned left, and slammed back down, so that's going to changed things on the ladder a little bit. Now here comes Louis Gill and Alan Cachon. Cachon from Quebec. Quebec, where I once went to a McDonald's and watched a guy try to order a chef salad. The guy at McDonald's didn't speak English, couldn't figure out what a chef salad was, so they had a French guy come over. They explained to him a chef salad. He looked at the first guy, he said, "Salade de chef." He went, "Oh, okay, no problem." I still think they were messing with us. 9,300 Louis Gill. Slows down 2 thou. Alan Cachon picks up 8 thou. That should give you an idea of the fact that the weather is almost exactly what it was earlier, because everybody's running almost exactly what they did earlier. Jeff Roll in the Mustang. Out of Connecticut, Paul Sutherland, the wagon. I don't know what happened to Paul. He must have missed his place in line, because we were supposed to have all the shoebox Chevys nose to tail to nose. Paul had considerably less wheel stand that time. And I don't know why, but I'm disappointed. I like wheel stands. 1018, 127 miles an hour. Sutherland picks up 3 Hun, 1080. At $121 for Jeff. Disregard the 001 red light. In qualifying, 001 red lights are like, it was so close. In eliminations, 001 red lights are like, are you kidding me? Eddie Chen, 66 Nova. GTL automatic. It's got 327 in it, but not the one that it came with. It's probably one of those deals where it's got a different carburetor on it or something. Corey Menard, this M automatic Chevelle. Woo! And down the track they go. 1096, 118 for Eddie. Corey goes 1242 at 110. James Antoinette, Robert Matheson. Wow, Matheson dropped the clutch and that thing stood up, and he grabbed second gear and it stood up again. And then he didn't do anything. Why'd you quit? You had 2 gears left. That's one of those things with those 4-speed cars. You can't quit shifting after 2, because it'll really kill your ET. 949, 141 miles an hour for J.A. Robert goes 20 seconds, and looks like he's going to take the swing. Oh, he wanted to go out the early gate. Nobody opened it. Hey, listen up. If you already won Lebanon Valley, and there's a few of you that did, the winner circles will be at the or if you win Lebanon Valley today, the winner circle photo will be taken at the back wall after the races are finished. Okay, so if you win today, we're going to turn this place into Lebanon Valley. We need to get like a backdrop or a banner or something. I bet Diane can do it with like photo magic. She'll just, take a picture of your car, and if you want it in Lebanon Valley, that's fine. If you want it to be in Indy, that's fine. If you want it to be at ATCO, wherever you want to win, she'll just Photoshop your backdrop in, but you got to win. That's the key. You got to win. That looked like fun as both of those hike the front end and head north. Charlie Bubka in the 67 car, Tom Boucher in the 97 car. If you can't tell which one's a 67 and which one's a 97, then I'm not sure why you're here today, but we're glad you came. 1026, 128 miles an hour. Bubka picks up 2 Hun. Boucher picks up 3 Hun. Going 957 and 136, and that'll bring up Bruce Riley. That's a cool car. 71 Chevelle SS 454. And Al Smith's ain't nothing to sneeze at. I mean, if you like Hemi 4-speed cars. 1968 Hemi Barracuda with a 4-speed. You realize if you had that in your garage and you wanted to retire, you could sell that car and buy a beach house or an island? Isn't there like an island for sale around here someplace? Or I thought I saw something the other day. There's an island for sale, less than $1 million. Got a house on it. Smith's car made a little bit of a move out there. 865, 154 miles an hour for Al. He's already the #1 qualifier. He's going to stay there, even though he slowed down a little bit. 925. Bruce Riley picked up a 10th at 141 miles an hour, and Bruce moves all the way up to the #2 spot. So those 2 big block muscle cars sitting 1 and 2 right now. Here comes Jerry Hatch. 70 Challenger with a 440. You know the difference between a Challenger and a Barracuda? an inch. Seriously, the Dodge Challenger is an inch longer than the Plymouth Barracuda. 1 inch. Bruce Ward in the Camaro over here on the right side. Bruce was a little bit late pulling the trigger, but he definitely got the better wheel stand of the two. 943 for Hatch, 138 miles an hour. 10-62 for Bruce Ward. And that's better after he didn't get down the racetrack the first time at 121 miles an hour. So that'll shuffle the ladder around a little bit. Hey, a little bit. Here's Victor Javinet. If you don't think that car's cool, then you really shouldn't be here. 1955 Nomad F modified. Watch this thing carry the front end. Woo! I got to get me one of them. I don't know what's flapping underneath that carpetbagger, but something is. Doesn't that thing look like fun to drive? 10:05, 129 miles an hour for Victor. Steve Sabarago goes 1086 at 120 miles an hour. You think it was carpet? It's like magic. I could play Magic Carpet Ride. Oh yeah, how about John Armstrong flying that thing off the starting line? I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to come up with like a wheel stand of the day award. What do we got up here? We got we got Ghirardelli chocolate. We can give Ghirardelli chocolate to the wheel stand of the day. John Armstrong, 912 at 144. Richard K in that modified car goes 868 at 150 miles an hour. If we were voting up here, who has the wheel stand of the day so far? I'm thinking Merrifield in the Merrifield in the truck. Hey, it ain't often that you take a Dodge truck and scratch the tailgate on a wheel stand, but Merrifield tried to do that today. See if he tries again. Joe Hertline first, and Brian Valentine. Valentine's Pontiac in the right side. Hertline's classic Chevrolet in the left side. .954, 137 miles an hour. Joe picks up 2 Hun. Brian goes 1073 at 123.01 the speed. And brings up Joe Santangelo. I just figured out a plan. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. It's ingenious. All I got to do is wait until Joe Santangelo's in a super stalker. I go steal his stalker. And then I can do my own wheelies. William Kennedy, the GTM automatic. Wonder what that combination is. GTM automatic. That's a low horsepower Pontiac 400. I mean a really low horsepower Pontiac 400. All right, now I have another mission. That's why I have to find these things out. I read all the alphabet soup and then I need answers. Inquiring minds want to know. Oh God, it might not be inquiring minds, maybe just, idiot announcers want to know, but I still want to know. Santangelo goes 1019 and 103. Held the throttle down a little bit longer that time. Kennedy goes 1056 at 127. Listen up in the pits. Attention in the pits. Top dragster, Tommy Tape, top dragster. Come on, come on, come on. We need you to lanes, please. Tommy Tape, top dragster. Presented by Select Performance. Come on down. We need you to lanes. Richard Presser, the Mustang, the Notchback, the 67. Shane Oaks, the Rough and Ready. Pontiac Firebird, 99 model. The A modified stock Mustang. You don't see a whole lot of those around either. 919, 144. Picked up a little bit. 992, 132 for Shane Oaks. Here comes Chris Howes, 1970 Challenger. That thing's awesome. It's got a Hemi in it. That's what I just want. That's what I'm looking for. One of those. If you got one in the shed and it's taking up space, I'll haul it away for free. Somebody's got to have one. Bob Letillier, 427 powered late model Copo over here on the right side.